All right, everybody. Last week, we walked through the dark and twisted halls of Flowers in the Attic.
Dark and Twisted is right, sister. That movie just keeps playing in my mind and haunting me just like it did when I saw it
Way back
in
when.
the day, when I read the book. Like, it is dark and twisted.
Yep, it sure is, which was a great way to kick off spooky season.
It was.
It's a movie that brought
Cringe.
yep. Cringe to the screen. I will say that. Cringe to the screen.
For sure. And this week, rather, we're going to chase something a little less secretive and cringy, but a whole lot more supernatural.
Yes, it's a movie that brought the paranormal into the mainstream with science, comedy, and a whole lot of chaos.
That's right, real fans. Today we're rewinding to Ghostbusters.
I'm Amanda.
And I'm Missy, and this is Real Sisters Rewind.
Join us as we go back to the 80s.
Hey, real fans, welcome back to Real Sisters Rewind, back to the 80s. We're two sisters who love movies and love taking you back to the ones that defined the decade.
The 80s, that's right. And if you're enjoying the podcast, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating, and hey, even write a quick review.
Yep, and when you do, take a screenshot and email it to us. hello@realsistersrewind.com, because we're sending Real Sister stickers to everyone who shows us some love.
They're showing us love, and we're sharing the love, aren't we, sister?
That's right.
All right, real fans, it's time to fire up those proton packs and chase down some ghosts. Let's rewind back to 1984 when Ghostbusters hit the scene.
Okay, it is June 8th, 1984, when Ghostbusters was released in theaters. I was just 7 years old, not quite turning 8 yet. And I want to say something because, again, we're in our spooky season. We're continuing with that theme. And I think it's interesting. I know this was like a big blockbuster type movie, which makes sense that it came out in June, but it would have been interesting also if they had released it in like October.
Yeah, I would have. I mean, a June release for Ghostbusters was strange to me. I definitely don't remember it. I was 15. I was about to head into my junior year of high school. And I do not think I saw this at the theaters. If I did, I was completely checked out. As a matter of fact, sister, I don't think I literally sat and watched it all the way through until the rewatch this week.
Yeah, actually, that's true for me too. But I will say, so obviously with me saying that, I didn't see it in theaters, but I was also, like I said, I was 7.
But it was, I mean, and I know I'm jumping ahead. It was PG. Like,
yes.
I wondered if you had seen it.
So I was 7, and when I got older, it would be on it was on TV. There were, like I knew the Marshmallow Man, I knew Slimer, like I knew the proton packs, I knew who the Ghostbusters were. But when I was little, it seemed scary to me. I knew it was a comedy also, but I do remember as a kid thinking that it would be scary, and like seeing clips and scenes and being like, oh, this is scary. And so, I never really watched it all the way through, even though when I did for our rewind, I felt like I knew it pretty well.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you say that because you looked at it and thought it looked scary. And I looked at it at my age of 15, about to be 16, and thought it looked ridiculous. To me, it looked like a kiddie scary movie. So
Yeah. which I guess also is like part of the comedy of it. But I wonder, it's funny you said that because Eric said that too, that like there were like towards the end, he felt like it was kind of like sort of ridiculous.
Kind of hokey.
Yeah. But I also, which we can talk about more, I do want to get into this more when we talk about because this was in 1984. So special effects were still pretty like, I don't know, like
Basic
and coming of age. And so I thought, of course, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself because I think I have a lot to say when we get to does this still hold up? Because I have like two pretty strong opinions, but because of the time period and the special effects, I thought that people probably thought some of the special effects were pretty cool.
Yeah, they might have.
I would have.
Yeah.
I would have thought. I don't know. I mean, looking at it now, it looks kind of silly.
Yeah.
But back then, not so much.
Yeah,
So
you're probably right.
anyway, and I have, we can talk more about it, but some info about those special effects because it was such a large part of the film. Like it was such a big part. I definitely want to give credit to that.
Okay.
Okay, so let's hop into our pop culture spotlight for when Ghostbusters first hit theaters. This artist.
Oh, do tell.
The number one song at the time was Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper.
Time after time.
I love that song. I can still see the video on Night Tracks. I can still see Cyndi Lauper's crazy hair. She is a really interesting and I think very talented artist. But
I do too.
That song, I to this day love that song. So yay for Time After Time being number one.
Yeah, that was good. Well, I've got some news about television.
Tell me.
It wasn't Cosby.
Oh.
It was at the top. It was Dynasty.
Yep.
It was at the top. I loved Dynasty. I loved the Carrington family. And a quick little story about Dynasty is that I did a crazy thing in high school with some friends, and we rolled a teacher's yard, and it just did a crazy thing. And I remember her, she found out it was us, and her talking to us about it and told us that we watched too much Dynasty. And
was it a teacher that you were close to and you were like being funny, or were y'all being kind of snarky?
Oh, no. She was very serious, and we had been a little snarky at what, it was.
But you were rolling her yard as a snarky roll, not as a, oh, we love this teacher.
Kind of as snarky fun, maybe. It wasn't right. It wasn't the right thing to do. And maybe I was watching too much Dynasty, but I did love it.
Well, you did love Dynasty, you mean, not the rolling?
I did love Dynasty. I don't love that I rolled the yard, although I rolled many yards back in the day. And I do love this teacher now. I'm friends with her on Facebook.
Are you? That's so sweet. Well, I just have to say this one thing about Dynasty. I know I've said it before. I used to beg to stay up to watch Dynasty, which was so inappropriate. But something that used to drive me crazy. Okay. You know how Blake Carrington.
Yeah,
sure. He was like the patriarch or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was married to, I can't think of her name, but it was Linda Evans. I can't think of what her name was.
Right.
Crystal
Carrington.
You were supposed to love her. Like she was the good character, like the good.
Right.
And I wanted her, this is awful. Even at that young age, I was like, she should really be prettier. Like I want, like her hair.
Oh my gosh, she was so gorgeous.
No, her hair drove me bananas with that. it drove me bananas. Now, Alexis, who was his ex-wife and was the bad one, now she was gorgeous. I was like, now that's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Like,
that's funny.
but
That is so funny.
there were other ladies on there
They
that were
were
really pretty, but she
everybody
drove me
on there
crazy.
was a pretty person. I mean, a pretty person dressed to the nines, but they weren't all pretty on the inside. And as our mama told us as we were growing up, pretty is as pretty does. And I think my teacher at one point thought I wasn't very pretty
when you rolled her yard.
when I rolled her yard.
All right. Well, even in the movie itself, there's a fun little nod to pop culture. Yeah. So Janine, who is the Ghostbusters secretary, and also I know we'll mention this, but Annie Potts.
Annie Potts, I know, I love her.
She's a precious. This is the second 80s movie we've seen her.
Yeah.
Because she was in Pretty in Pink.
Yeah.
She's their secretary, and she's spotted at her desk reading People magazine.
People magazine.
Now, sister, who was on this week's People?
John Belushi. Yeah.
Yep.
He had, and actually this will come up some as we talk about the casting and stuff, but there was this big battle about this explosive new book about him and his widow, Judy. It really feels betrayed, and she actually confronts the author, and it was such a big deal. But everyone was feeling the loss of John Belushi, and the book was wild. As a matter of fact, when I saw the People magazine cover, I recognized it from back in the day.
You had mentioned that, and I don't recognize it, but I know it was a big deal.
Yeah.
So maybe we can. I see another little person in the corner up there.
Yep, a little Michael Jackson. He was getting his rehearsals in for the big tour, which we've told our stories before here about us getting to go to that thanks to the Pepsi cans.
I told a group of Madison's friends, they were at our house this weekend, and they were doing some things for school, and something came up about Michael Jackson. I said, thinking they would be impressed because everyone always is, that I was like, oh yeah, when I was a little girl, I got to see Michael Jackson, the whole Jackson family on tour, and they didn't even bat an eyelash. I was like, oh, okay.
But don't you think that like concerts and accessibility to stars, it's different now than it was when we were young?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean.
Yeah, probably, but he's so extraordinarily famous. But anyway, they didn't really care.
Well, let me ask, do you remember that our Aunt Betty Lou had been asked out on a date by Elvis Presley when she was young? Were you impressed by that?
Very.
Okay, I was too. I just didn't know if it might have varied some.
No, in fact, I was thinking about that. I was like, well, I would have been impressed if somebody, like when people even now say, oh yeah, I saw Elvis in concert. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think that's cool. So anyway, all right, let's head over to our Do You Remember section.
Okay.
Do you remember when solving a I never can say this. A Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, wasn't just a pastime. It became a full-on competition. Now, I know we've talked about the craze of the Rubik's Cube because we talked about pulling the stickers off.
Yeah, that was with Miles Doliak.
Yeah, but I did not. Did you know that it was like a competition?
Oh, yes. There would be these competitions like locally, state, and then there was like an international competition, and you would see people like done. Like they could do it so fast, like you could hardly see it.
Do you think, first of all, was it televised? Probably not.
Well, it was like on the nightly news.
Yeah.
They would do a segment on it.
So do you think that, okay, I'm just trying to envision this. When they started, they all had to start with the same configuration?
I would think for it to be a competition, there would have been some level playing ground for starting.
Yeah, like they all are
Yeah.
in the same
I would-
formation.
Do you know what that makes me think of? That makes me think of something that happened back in the, like back in 19, let's see, Michael was born in 94. So I'm going to say when Michael was about 10, so maybe 2004, 2003, 2004, when cup stacking
Oh my
became a
gosh.
pastime and a competition. I know it's not the 80s, but it reminds me of that. Like these smart people taking a puzzle or an activity, and like their mind and hands can do it so fast that it becomes a competition.
I want to go back. I bet we can find some clips of competitions. I want to see that action.
Yes, I bet we can.
Your impression of that was funny. You were like, done.
And that was probably longer than some of them. Okay, so here's a do you remember? And I don't know if you will, Amanda, because of you being smaller, but I kind of kept you in the fashion when you were younger, like knowing about it. But there was a time around this movie came out, obviously, we said Michael Jackson was on People magazine, where teenagers especially, although I saw some young kids in this too, wanted a replicated version of the red Thriller jacket. Like it was a fashion item. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. It was right up there with like the sequin glove.
Oh, yeah.
And like the Madonna gloves where the fingers were cut out, like the lace finger gloves. But I mean,
did you know anybody who had any of those?
I definitely knew a lot of people that had the glove, like different gloves. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I knew anybody with the red Thriller jacket. I think a red leather jacket.
No, I definitely remember seeing there was somebody at my high school who was older than me. Wasn't someone I knew, was kind of a loner, but for sure he had a pure replication of the Thriller jacket. And then there was a kid that when I would pick you up at this like elementary school.
No. You mean at the gym?
At the gym, yes. Well, there was a kid that was like a young kid, cute as a boot, just cute as a button, who would have this tiny little Thriller jacket on. And I just remember.
Oh, cute.
I
don't remember that. So but even I think if you didn't have the Thriller jacket, that kind of like style jacket and you like push up the sleeves was like fashionable.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay. Do you remember when the very first CD players started showing up in homes and completely changed the way we listen to music? I remember my first one.
I do. I remember because for years, and we've mentioned this before, but gosh, it's worth saying it again. We used to have this big, huge chest.
Console.
It was a console, but it was as long as most people's like kitchen dining tables, right? Not a formal dining table, but a kitchen dining table.
Yeah, like let me just say, if you closed the top, because it was a wooden piece of furniture.
Yes.
If you closed the top of it, you could have thought it would be like a buffet that would be in a dining room.
Yes,
like
but you opened it up and you had your record player, right? And you had an 8-track player.
Sure.
And then at some point, I remember Mom getting where you stuck something in the 8-track player and it converted to a cassette player.
Yes, I remember those.
But I do remember the day where they moved out the console and got a sleek looking, because Daddy loved music, as we've talked about before, a sleek looking stereo. And it had a huge compartment on it that was a CD player.
It was look, I don't know for sure, but my guess is it was probably like glass.
Yeah, glass and like metal.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was huge too. And then, of course, that evolved as we talked about.
But not as big as the console.
No, but
it was still big.
But big nonetheless, yeah.
I don't even really remember that glass one.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But I do remember the console
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Because that's where I would stand when I would practice, when I would play gymnastics.
Uh-huh.
And I would run behind that little strip where the couch was and do
Right.
that.
Yeah, that was your lane to imagine that you were doing the
The tumbling.
the tumbling.
And
yeah.
really all I could ever do was a cartwheel. So
That is not true. As you moved into high school, you could do some tumbling. Like I always remember being so impressed by that.
Oh, thanks.
Well, let's talk about the movie. Let's jump
Yes.
in because I know that you have a lot to share. Let's talk about who wrote it. It was written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. And a fascinating fact is that Dan Aykroyd's first draft had the Ghostbusters traveling to space and other dimensions, but budget cuts scaled it down to New York City.
Which is funny because they talk about in the movie.
Yeah.
They mention in one of the lines about space travel or something.
Right,
So
right.
that's funny. That's really funny. Well, the movie was directed by Ivan Reitman.
Yes.
And there are some very well-known stars, especially when we're thinking about the 80s, that were in this movie. I want to name a few.
Okay.
And then I may talk just a minute here also about who some of our special effects people.
Okay.
Because I think that's important.
You're going to give them a shout out.
Yes, for sure. And we can, if, we might bring them up again. But anyway, okay. So Bill Murray was Dr. Peter Venkman or Venkman. I think that's how you say it. Bill Murray was the highlight of this movie for me.
Me too.
I
loved him.
Absolutely adore Bill Murray. I was like writing down quotes that he said. I was so drawn to him through the whole movie. I enjoyed him so much.
Well, let me give you a little fun fact. As a matter of fact, I think the stat I saw was 80%. 80% of Bill Murray's lines were improvised.
I 100% believe it.
He's
100%.
so brilliant. And also, sister, the role when Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis actually wrote the script, they wrote the role for John Belushi, which we were just talking about him.
He had passed.
Yeah, but he had passed. And so then Bill Murray took the part. And of course, they were all on Saturday Night Live together back, in the day. But
and I feel like I don't know John Belushi's work as well because he passed away. But I just love Bill Murray. So I'm kind of glad, not glad that he passed away, but glad that Bill Murray got to take the role. But it's funny you said that about him. What did you say? Oh, improvising, because we said the same thing about Tootsie.
Yeah, that's right.
He did improvised a lot.
Tootsie as well. And then coming up in the holiday season, there's a movie I want us to do with Bill Murray. We'll have to find out if he improvised in that one. But one of the things I was going to say is that I was watching it with Chris, and I swear I cannot look at Bill Murray without thinking of...
What about Bob?
What about Bob?
Can't do it.
Cannot do it. Like, as I'm watching him,
you're like, there's Bob.
There's Bob. Yeah. Yeah.
100%. Absolutely. It also makes me want to go back and watch. I don't know if you ever watched it, but it was the movie he was in. It was not a comedy, but it's the movie he was in with Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't, but I think I would like that.
It's a fantastic movie, and I want to watch it again. I think I'm going to go back and watch that soon. Like, I want to watch it again before I forget. It's really, really good. He's really great because he's not such a comedian, and so you get to see this other side of him, and I really
like him a lot.
Me too. So Dan Aykroyd is Dr. Raymond Stantz, which they call him Ray. And then Harold Ramis is Egon, and he's like so super serious, nerdy guy.
I know.
So funny. Do you want to take over some?
Yeah, I'll say some. Sigourney Weaver, of course, was Dana Barrett. And here is a fascinating fact, which is also very weird, is that and the word that I saw in the research was impressed, but Sigourney Weaver impressed the producers in her audition because she pretended to transform into a dog.
Because that kind of that's what happens in the
Right.
movie.
Yeah, I know.
I have to
But
say this too, real quick about her, which that is so super weird. But when I first saw her face on the screen, I was like, oh my gosh, she looks beautiful. Like she looked really pretty to me.
yeah.
And I
Yeah,
don't
well, I
typically
think
think that.
yeah. She's definitely got a look,
Unique, yeah.
a very unique look. But I don't know. I mean, that just shows you how talented actors and actresses really are, because I'm guessing that it wasn't necessarily part of her audition to do that part, but she just
Probably.
went for it.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of what like freaks me out about it. Like I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm too like in my head.
Yeah.
But then we had Rick Moranis, who I always love as Louis Tully.
All I could think of was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, me too, which then makes me think of the Disney ride of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That's no longer there, which I loved. But I definitely went down that road. We already talked about Annie Potts as Janine. She was the secretary. And then William Atherton was Walter Peck.
And you know what was so funny? Annie Potts, seeing her really struck up, like it unlocked a memory for me. And I don't know why it was seeing her that did it, but suddenly I remembered the Ghostbusters figurines. I guess because I remember her character, like looking like her in like the Ghostbusters cartoon, like all of these other Ghostbuster spinoffs that happened from the success of the film, and like seeing her, I was like, oh my gosh, like it made me remember all of that. But she was just adorable.
She is adorable. Absolutely adorable.
Okay, so let me just tell you this really quick about our special effects folks. So we obviously have to, give credit to these actors and writers and directors, but the magic of this movie really happens with the special effects, because it literally would not have been possible without all the special effects that went into it. And so the VFX supervisor, and I'm not sure what VFX stands for. I will try to find out. But
very effective effects.
Yeah, it sounds like he's in charge of the special effects. His name was Richard Edlin.
Okay.
And he actually had done work on Star Wars. He was finishing his work on Return of the Jedi.
I swear when you said that name, I was like, that name's familiar to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He was actually one of the first people involved in special effects when they started working on special effects in Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And like the development of all of that. And so he had actually won a handful of Oscars and had nominations for Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Poltergeist.
Oh, okay.
And so as he was finishing up with Return of the Jedi, he was, kind of wanting to get out of that. Not that he had not had a great experience with Lucas and Star Wars and all of that, but he had been under that umbrella for a long time.
He didn't want to be boxed in. He needed to break out into another genre.
That's right. So he started working with some other collaborators, and they started working on Ghostbusters. And I just wanted to give him credit for just putting together an incredible talent pool of, special effect artists that were able to pull off just some really, gosh, what would be the word?
groundbreaking for the time.
Yes, groundbreaking special effects. And there are some very technical terms. I'm actually reading from an article that I do want to share on social media this week, because it's pretty interesting, especially if this is a movie that you loved in your childhood and you want to read more about it. But it actually talks about the creation of the Marshmallow Man and some of the other ghosts and things that you see in the film.
Well,
And
I love that. I love that you're giving them a shout out.
Yeah, I don't think this movie would be it would not have existed without some really state of the art special effects. And they, like you said, it was groundbreaking, and they went out on a limb and did some really cool stuff. So I will share this article to give them their kudos, and you can read all about it.
So the movie had a PG rating, although some say that today it would more than likely be a PG-13 rating, and maybe it would, but I didn't think anything about it being PG. And we've watched some that I was like, whoa.
This should be R. I guess the only thing would be that, like, if there was some, because there are some like jump scare sort of, because there's not nudity, there's not really bad language. It would have to be for the scare factor, I guess. All right. And it was an hour and 45 minutes, which is right within our time frame.
Right there. Mm-hmm. Had a budget, sister, of somewhere between 25 and 30 million. I saw some different numbers, which, considering all the money they had in special effects, that's would be easily expected. But are you ready for what it grossed?
I would love to know, because I know it was a big hit.
295 million worldwide.
Wow.
Making it the second highest grossing film of 1984. It came in right behind Beverly Hills Cop.
I believe it. People loved Ghostbusters.
They loved them some Ghostbusters.
And there were actually a lot of times that I noticed points of the movie, and it goes back to the special effects for me, that I could totally picture people going to that movie with their families and just having and it just being fun, because you've got a little bit of the jump scare.
Yeah.
And leaving and be like, oh my gosh, y'all got to go see Ghostbusters, because you could take your whole family and just having a really good time with it.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree.
Okay, so there were some nominations. Nominated for 2 Academy Awards, of course, Best Visual Effects. And I can't believe we haven't even mentioned this yet, because to me it is, other than Bill Murray, this is the other highlight of the show.
I know what you're going to say, because I saw some of the research, but I have to tell you that already in this few minutes that we're into the podcast, I've wanted to
be like, who you gonna call?
Yes. Like when you were talking about the special effects people, I was like, who you gonna call out?
It is, every time I heard like a little bit of this music, I would get I'm like, bustin
cannot help
feel good. Like
it really is. And here is a fascinating fact, is that Ray Parker Jr., who wrote that iconic theme song, he wrote it in just a few days, and it was inspired by a late night TV commercial jingle.
Oh, that's funny. And it's an earworm for sure. And you want to talk about, does it stand up to today? The song 100% stands up.
Absolutely.
There's no way around that. And it was also nominated for 3 Golden Globes, Best Motion Picture for a Comedy or Musical, and then Best Actor for Bill Murray, and Best Original Song. It didn't have wins, but lots of nominations, which is great for a comedy like that. So
Yeah, definitely. All right, real fans, the ghosts are out and the chaos is about to begin. Let's rewind Ghostbusters scene by scene.
So we start off with a scene in the library, and we know it's New York, so it's this big New York public library, and there is an old librarian, sweet little old lady, and she is having a supernatural encounter, and she's scared to death. She's walking down the
Yes.
aisle, and the drawers from the card catalog are opening, and the cards are flying out everywhere, and sidebar, my kids don't even know what a card catalog is, much less how to use it. Don't even know what it is.
Of course. No, mine don't either.
It's so weird. They know nothing, or the Dewey Decimal System. Like, it's so weird. I wonder what they do with all that stuff now. I don't know. But the cards are flying around everywhere.
Yeah. Now, I will tell you that the library scene, the whole ghost scene and all of that, it was
Yeah.
written to be much scarier, but because of that PG rating, it was toned down.
Oh.
They
and it-
wanted that PG rating.
yeah. And I thought it was pretty, I mean, it got the point across for
Yeah.
sure. But this is when we meet the psychology professors. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
I think you are.
Peter Venkman and Ray Stantz and Egon Spangler. And we see Peter giving a test to these two people. And let's just clarify, Peter is, and I'm going to call him Peter, even though in the movie a lot of times they call him Venkman
Yeah.
or Dr. Venkman. Peter is Bill Murray.
Yes.
And he's giving a test to these two people. It's a boy and a really pretty girl.
Yeah.
And he's trying to determine if they can read minds with these
Yes.
with this machine.
Can they guess on what's on the other
Yes.
side of the card?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And the poor guy, the boy is terrible. And the girl getting all the answers. And he's totally hitting on the girl. Like, he is about to swoop her out and take her to dinner.
Yes, but here's the thing: is she was
Yes.
not getting them
I
right,
know,
but he
I
was
know.
making her think she was getting them right.
100%. And the boy felt like the biggest loser because he
Yes.
wasn't getting any of them right.
Yes.
So he was trying to swoop her out on a date. And about that time, Ray comes in and interrupts because they've been called to investigate and confirm a ghost presence in the library. The scene we saw earlier.
I'm just going to give two sidebars about the
Yeah.
New York Library. When I see scenes there, all I can think of is Carrie and Big from Sex and the City and the wedding in the New York Public Library. And the other thing that I was going to say, I forgot. So, oh well.
Well, I can fill one in because
Okay.
I always think of, even though it wouldn't have been the New York Public Library, it would have been the University of New York, NYU Library,
Uh-huh.
is Felicity
Felicity,
and
yeah.
Noel making out in the library. So
Yes, love it.
that's
love
what
it.
I always think of. So anyway, so they head over to the library, and they didn't get much information from their interview with the poor librarian.
No, they
Like,
didn't. She was
she's-
so frazzled.
Yeah, she's like comatose almost.
Yes.
But they are, like, okay, we need to go upstairs and check this out because they realized it was upstairs. They go upstairs, and there's the green slime,
Everywhere. Slime
Everywhere.
is everywhere.
which I won't say now. I'll hold on because we've got some more spooky season movies coming up.
Okay.
That slime's a
Okay.
part of. So anyway, the slime's everywhere. They see the mess. Definitely something supernatural has happened. And they do happen upon a ghost, and they're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
The machine's reading it, right?
Yes,
Like you're
yes.
getting some signals.
Yes. And they get closer and closer, and the ghost jump scares them. This is one of those moments that I was like, I bet you anything moviegoers absolutely loved this. It's almost
Can't
like,
you imagine like the popcorn flailing out of there?
yes,
Yeah.
totally, because you don't know it's happening, and it was such a new type of movie
Yeah.
and happening, and that it was a jump scare that's like scary, but also like as soon as you realize it happened, it's like exhilarating, almost
Yeah.
like a roller coaster.
Yeah,
But I
sure.
was like, oh man, people were loving this.
Yeah.
So they run screaming out of the library, and they're like, we'll get back to you. We'll get back to you. So they're freaked out as well. So, but the bad news is they go back to the university and talk to the dean because they are there on a research grant working through the university, and the dean dismisses their findings. He fires them and says, we're done with this research grant. And I just put a note here for myself. I don't even know exactly what it was, but I said, Bill Murray is so fun to watch.
He is so fun to watch. But there's that saying, when one door closes, another one opens. And so the trio decide to start a freelance business, and Ghostbusters, a paranormal investigation and elimination service is born. And so to get the money for the business and the containment system and all that, they have to talk Ray into taking a mortgage on his parents' home. And I thought that part was so funny.
Yep.
Them kind of like,
Yeah, and Peter, the Bill Murray character, is talking to him like, oh, no big deal. Everybody's got a mortgage on their, extra mortgage. And then Egon, who's so much more like scientific, serious, nerdy, was like, well, at 19%, this is going to cost. And he like calculated this huge amount.
I know.
I was like, oh my gosh, which was also very 80s for that high percentage.
Because I think it was a 19% loan.
It was 19%. I was like, oh my goodness. But I want to say something too really quick about this part, and even just as we continue, like that first part about the library, and then that happens with the dean and they start the business. All of this happens really quickly. And this to me is another like thing I love about 80s movies. Like they're not, and this is kind of, we talked with Clifton about this when we did Back to the Future. Like they're not getting bogged down in all of this like backstory and detail. They're like, boom, 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 get to the story. And, people can keep up. Let's keep it simple. And I really, really, I just love that. I really appreciate that. So anyway, they've got the money and they set up shop in it used to be an old firehouse. And so, I
loved how they like used all the parts of the firehouse.
I know. Like
for
the
their
pole.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That was
Ray loved the pole.
Ray loved the pole.
Yes. And they like lived there. They had bedrooms there and everything.
So it wasn't a bad investment for a business if you're living there too.
Exactly. All of them were living there. So anyway, fun fact, the firehouse headquarters is actually 2 locations. So there's the exterior in New York, which would be critical, I would think. It's Hook and Ladder 8. And the interior is actually in Los Angeles on sound stage.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, then we cut to see Sigourney Weaver's character looking beautiful. She's carrying a string instrument of some kind. It was a cello, right? Was it a cello?
Yeah.
And she is approached by her annoying neighbor who seems to be in love with her, Lewis.
Obsessed, like a stalker.
Yeah, true. But he's terribly annoying, and he's Lewis, and he's our Honey, I Shrunk the Kids hero.
Yep, exactly.
And her TV is on, and it's on loud. And there's a commercial on the TV for Ghostbusters. Now, I have to say something right here because they had the whole little no ghost logo type look, that was created by Michael C. Gross, and he had been an art director for National Lampoons.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, that is a very famous logo.
I think is a very famous
to this
logo.
Day.
Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
If I flashed a picture of that to my kids, they've never even seen Ghostbusters, they would immediately know what that is.
Yeah.
So I love that.
And I love it. She's in her apartment and she's unpacking her groceries, and then the eggs start bubbling and bursting open. And there is a ghostly scene in her fridge. And there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, a lot. We see a lot of special effects.
Yeah.
This is where that starts. And I want to say, I know you mentioned this, that her TV was on loud. That was our first clue, though, that something was weird, because she said to Lewis, she was like, I don't think I left my TV on. So that was like,
Oh, you know what? That kind of went over my head.
yeah, that was our first clue that there was something going on in her apartment.
Yeah.
And then the things happen. The eggs start busting open. And when she opens her refrigerator,
Yes.
she sees this like demonic sort of dog-like creature, and he's saying the word Zool. And so
Yeah.
this is the part where it's, I mean, it is very like, I don't know, silly and like otherworldly, but you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? So
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Because I tend to dismiss this as soon as I see something like this, going like, this is not my kind of movie, right? Like, are you kidding me? We've got some kind of demonic dog-like creature, right?
in the
Whatever.
refrigerator.
Yes, yes. But I was in it. I was
Yeah.
in it for our real fans.
Yes. Well, so we're in her apartment, and then it cuts back to the Ghostbusters, and they are getting things together around the office pretty quickly. Pretty quickly, I might add, because
they've gone from losing a job to starting a company to having the firehouse.
Moving in, cleaned up the firehouse, made a commercial.
They have their secretary now, Annie Potts. That's the first time we see her.
Yes, and as soon as I saw her, I don't. Again, it unlocked this memory, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Annie Potts!" And I was really excited to see her. She's adorable.
She is adorable.
So we see they're set up. They're ready for business. And at this time, that's when, because Dana has seen their commercial,
right?
So she approaches
on her loud TV.
That's right. So she goes to the office, and she approaches them about the paranormal event in her apartment, because she's super freaked out, obviously.
Right.
Ray is immediately interested, and asks her to come in the office. Let's hear more about what's going on. And they hook her up to a machine, like a lie detector.
Like a lie detector, yes. They want to see if she's telling the truth about all of this.
Yes.
And I guess they determined that she is, because they make a plan to go check things out.
Yeah, they're totally like, well, she's telling the truth.
Yeah.
Because this was a funny scene, because I also went to show, I get this sounds hilarious, but their knowledge and professionalism, because they were asking her questions to determine if they're have you ever been diagnosed with schizophrenia? Asking.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? They knew there are all these other things that could rationalize what you saw other than this actually being paranormal, but they determined she was telling the truth.
Right.
And I also got the impression, I don't know if you felt this way, especially at the beginning through when things really got out of hand, I got the impression that Peter, again, the Bill Murray character, was very skeptical of the whole paranormal thing. I don't know, not that he wasn't in it, but he was a little skeptical. It was going to take a lot for him to buy it.
I got that feeling too. I kind of got the idea of, man, his two friends are in this, and he's just going to be a part of it, and whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, even going back to when he was doing the test with the can you read minds, he was just kind of there to have fun and didn't necessarily believe in any of it. So yeah, I had that vibe too.
Okay, good. So yeah, they said they determined she's telling the truth. So they're we're going to go check things out.
Yeah. And so they go to her apartment. They don't really find anything. And she turns him down when he kind of hits on her. And
because Peter is the only one who goes with her.
Right.
And
I said he went to her apartment, didn't I? Okay, yeah.
He goes to her apartment, and this whole scene is hysterical, because he's immediately hitting on her as he's walking, and he's like, oh, nice place.
Yeah.
And I thought this was funny. Her line, she said, you don't act like a scientist, more like a game show host, which I was like, that is so spot on. He is such a game show host.
And that,
And
you know what's so funny to me about all of this, like him hitting on the girl at the cards and then hitting on her as he goes to Dana's apartment, is I don't at all find him attractive or like
no,
somebody who would have the
like swagger.
swag,
Yeah.
yeah, to like hit on girls, but he totally is unapologetic.
But you know what? His personality makes him attractive to me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he draws you in. But this was also funny. So he's there, he's looking around, he gets to the kitchen, and he's kind of like, I almost feel like he's a little bit scared. And she's like, are you going to open the refrigerator? Like that's, where the incident happened. And so he walks over and he like cracks the refrigerator open and he's like, oh my gosh. And he's like, opens it big and it's just her refrigerator. And he's like, I can't believe all the junk food you have in here. And it's just also the way he talks, like he's got that little bit of Canadian accent in there. So he's just, it's funny. But anyway, yeah. So there's nothing in her refrigerator. So he doesn't really have anything to go off of at this point in her apartment. So she's chills there. So she stays there.
Well, the Ghostbusters are called and hired to deal with the gluttonous ghost at the Sedgwick. Is that my saying? Sedgwick. Sedgwick Hotel. And so, people are calling them, and it's there where we, for the first time, see the Ghostbusters mobile, like they're mobile.
I think, they're mobile.
They're
like
mobile.
I guess that's what
the Ghostmobile.
Yeah, that would,
I was going to say their mobile office, but I see what you're saying. And their iconic outfits that, let me tell you, we were talking about Halloween. By Halloween, they were
everybody had one.
They were the costume to have.
Yep.
And so 100%. When they're there, and they're going in, they're going to, check out the problems there at the hotel. They're asked if they'll be discreet.
Yes.
And so I thought that was hysterical. And they have to act like they're exterminators called to kill a cockroach.
The manager or the owner is very like snooty and tells them, please be discreet. And you're right. And because they're asked to be discreet, when the hotel client is like, what are you guys? And he's like, oh, we're exterminators. And he was like, Bill Murray was so like nonchalant about it. He was like, yeah, we're called to kill a cockroach up on 12.
Yeah. Which would have bothered me more as a hotel patron than I'm looking for a ghost.
Yep. So they get off the elevators. They go up to the floor where this incident is happened.
Yeah.
And they get spooked by a noise and immediately they all shoot and they shoot the cleaning lady and she's like totally freaked out. So then they split up and they are exploring, trying to find the ghost. Well, Ray finds the green ghost, which we eventually come to know is Slimer.
Right.
And he shoots at him, but Slimer flies through the wall. And when he flies through the wall, then he comes through and comes face to face with Peter. And the ghost, it's so funny because he's like standing there waiting for something to happen. And they're talking on their walkie-talkies. And Egon's like, Ray or Egon, I can't remember which one, is like, don't move. He won't hurt you. And so he does fly straight through him and just leaves him like
slime everywhere.
Mm-hmm. All over slime.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're happy because they're like, oh, we have evidence.
Yes, that's true.
They've got the slime.
Well, they were supposed to be discreet, but there is a mess all over the ballroom, and they're trying to shoot the ghost, and they finally harness him. They get him in a trap. And the ballroom is absolutely destroyed.
Yeah. And the worst part about that is they were setting up for an event. Yeah. And so when they followed the spirit or whatever into the ballroom, that's, again, trying to be discreet. They were like, oh, gosh, there were people, about to go in for this event or whatever. So it was even worse that they destroyed the ballroom because there were people waiting to go in. But they, like you said, they harnessed him in their little box where they.
Right. Yeah.
So I just want to say for all of our real fans, there are a lot of technical words that I could not keep up with, but they're
No.
lasers. They shot him and they.
Yeah.
He went into the little trap.
They got him.
They got him. And the manager was like, okay, great. And they were so like cool and proud. And they added up the total. They'll be like, oh, $5,000. Of course, he didn't want to pay $5,000.
No,
and they
he
were
did
like,
not.
oh, well, we can just let this
We'll
guy
just
back
let him out.
And he was like, no. So it was a big success. And it also demonstrated the effectiveness of their equipment.
Well, a fun fact is that Slimer was actually designed by Aykroyd. He was a tribute to Belushi and kind of modeled after his character in Animal House.
Oh my gosh, that makes me want to cry.
I know. That is hysterical that makes you want to cry because
I just think like these guys, like they're so goofy and funny and like to
have that meaning,
and to have that heart of like we're going to include him in this, even though he can't be here with us. Like that's really sweet.
That really is sweet. That's
okay,
really sweet.
So now they are gaining success, right?
Oh, they're getting famous.
They're getting famous because these supernatural occurrences in New York are increasing. It's getting out of hand. And we see reports of this on Dana's TV, by the way, while she is fully decked out in her exercise gear in her living room doing crunches.
Yeah. And did you think Jane Fonda? Did you think 100%? Me too.
I was like, girl, if you're just in your living room, why do you need to have that full body leotard on? Like,
right. Put on your PJs and do your crunches.
Like, what are you doing?
She was dressing the part.
And I also made a note here because there were a couple of things that happened during this whole montage of reports and things. One is we hear the song Ghostbusters, and I just made a note for myself. I was like, oh my gosh, I just had to type that quick. And then also we hear a report by Casey Kasem about all of the supernatural occurrences happening in New York. And you hear his voice, and then he says, and this is Casey Kasem, now on with the countdown.
On with the countdown. I can't tell you how many times in my life I listened to that man say that, live.
I know.
Like live. It was really good. And they are getting famous, sister. And so now they've got to expand their team. And that's when they hire Winston Zeddemore, a.k.a. Solomon, from The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
I know.
Loved him in that movie. Is that an 80s movie? I think it's 90s.
It's 90s. And I adore him in that movie so much.
I do too.
Immediately when he came on the screen, Eric was in the living room with me and I was like, oh, is that Solomon?
Yes.
And Eric even said, oh my gosh, when that woman accused him, I couldn't. He got mad all over again.
I want to watch that just to watch it.
Yeah, it's a good one. So they hire, Winston. So now, and you know what's so weird? That unlocked a memory for me too. I remembered at that point, I was like, oh yeah, the figurines. I remember him now. I didn't remember him before. So anyway, it cuts now back to Dana because even though they didn't find anything in her apartment, they said they were going to continue trying to find out what the meaning of the word Zool was, like what that is, what's the history there.
Right. That's not all they continue, though, because Peter continues trying to hit on her. And she does agree to meet him on Thursday as she walks off with a guy that definitely is more than a friend and
he seems a tad bit
jealous. Yeah.
Yes. So Peter is telling her, he's got some information. And yes, you see this guy sitting at the fountain and he's has this pissy look on his face. Mm-hmm. And
the stink eye, as they said in Juno.
Yeah. And she, Oh my gosh, I know what it reminded me of. It reminded me of just a moment's flash of what was the movie with Tom Hanks and Shelley Long, and they bought that. What was that
Money
movie?
Pit.
It reminded me of her with the fancy musician. Like
Oh
it was
yeah,
sort of that
yeah.
same
It
sort
was
of
that vibe.
relationship.
It was that vibe, yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
Mhm. Mhm. So, like you said, she does agree to meet up with him on Thursday.
Yep.
So, back at the firehouse, Ray is showing Winston the ropes when here comes trouble. The EPA arrives.
Environmental Protection
Agency.
Agency.
They are very concerned about this Ghostbusters work.
Yep.
And
That Walter Peck was the inspector, and he comes in, he's questioning everything. He questions Peter's doctoral degree.
yep, he's like totally trying to dig into that.
Yeah.
And he wants to see the storage facility, and he wants to look for hazardous materials in the basement. I think he's concerned about the energy and,
Yeah.
all that environmental stuff.
That's right.
So Egon notes that their ghost containment unit is nearly full. And that's so the problem is like this guy, the EPA guy, is worried about the energy that this is using. Well, what Egon's trying to tell him is this containment unit is nearly full, while at the same time, this coincides with a surge in supernatural energy across the city.
Right.
So we don't want to let the ghosts and spirits that we have contained, we don't want to let them out.
Right.
Because there's, on top of that, a higher incidence of energy across the city. And Egon uses this analogy with a Twinkie, which is really...
Twinkie, yes.
Yeah, and they're, all very concerned about this rise in supernatural energy.
Well, back at Dana's house or apartment, she has to break the news to Lewis that she has a date.
Yes, he's like trying to get her to come over. He's obsessed.
And he's like peeved. He's like ticked off. And she says that, they'll come by later. But Dana's attacked in her chair by the what a gargoyle-like creature.
Yeah, it's pretty creepy. Like, so she goes in her apartment and it's dark, and she sits down in like a comfy chair and just to like rest for a minute because this is the night she has her date.
Right.
And all of the sudden, arms come up out of the chair, and
that was creepy to me.
It was creepy. They did a nice job with that. But anyway, she's attacked by this creature. And actually, a similar creature disturbs Lewis's party in his apartment. So we don't know what's happened to Dana. We see her get attacked, and then we see it cut to Lewis, and he runs out of the apartment being chased by this thing.
Right.
Like dog-like thing. And he's like runs screaming into Central Park, where I don't know. He runs into a restaurant, and but he can't get inside. And so he can't get inside. And you think that this thing has attacked him. You don't really see what happens to him.
Right.
But it gets him in some way. But then we see him arrive at Dana's apartment. Nope, I'm sorry, not him. He doesn't arrive at Dana's apartment yet. Peter arrives at Dana's apartment. Yeah. Sorry. All we know is Lewis has been attacked. We don't know what's the deal with him.
Right. He's run off.
Yes. And we see the dog thing running towards him, and then we don't know really what happened. But then whole scene is so funny to me. Peter arrives at the apartment, and she comes to the door, and she looks like something from Xanadu.
She does.
like Xanadu. Like I don't
The
know what to say.
makeup,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's like it's like blowing. Her hair's like blowing.
Yeah.
And she opens the door and he says, "This is a new look for you."
That was hysterical.
So funny. And she's acting really weird. Of
Mhm.
course, what has happened is she's been possessed by this
Yes, of
spirit,
course.
Zool. And Lewis, which we do find out later, he's been possessed also by a similar entity. So they've both been possessed.
That apartment building was haunted.
So throughout this process, Dana, who really is not Dana, it's Zool,
Right.
identifies herself as the gatekeeper.
Yes.
And Lewis, who's also possessed, identifies himself as the keymaster.
Keymaster, yes.
And as of course, he's not involved yet, but Peter, as she identifies herself as the gatekeeper and is like totally trying to take him down to bed.
Yeah.
He's like, totally thinks she's playing some kind of like kinky games.
Yes. Yes.
Like, what is going on? And then he realizes
it. He tries to call on her.
Dana. Yeah. He's like, Dana.
Yeah.
And she's possessed. Sidebar, this has to be where the Days of Our Lives writers got the idea from Marlena being possessed, because it was just,
oh my gosh.
It was just like this.
Point. Yes.
Eric and I were like, okay, Marlena. But like we said, Lewis is possessed as well.
And he gets caught by the cops.
The
police bring him into the Ghostbusters headquarters.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do with him. And he was, even though he was possessed, he was a lot more docile.
Yes, for sure.
And just kind of like out of it. She was like Marlene on Days of Our Lives. Like,
yeah.
Like crazy, possessed, like the Exorcist movie.
Yeah, for sure.
But he is so funny, Peter, because he's so calm about the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, Dana, like I don't know. He's just very calm and funny, and he just cracks
because
me up.
I still think he just doesn't think it's a big deal. Like
he's still not in it.
Yeah, he's still like a little skeptical, just not real sure.
Yep.
But he does make the connection about the gatekeeper.
Well, he calls back to headquarters.
And Lewis is the key
master.
The key master,
and he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And this is this moment, we get a classic shot where we see the ghost mobile driving across what looks like the Brooklyn Bridge, but you see it driving across, the sun's going down, and you see the blue sirens, and it's a very recognizable shot.
Yeah.
They're, trying to get out and about and get some work done here.
Yeah. But they're trying to get work done. They're trying to solve all these ghost problems, but guess who's back? They're back.
The EPA.
The EPA. And they've got a warrant now. And the warrant is going to allow them to shut off all the machines that are holding in the ghost. And sure enough, when they do that, the ghosts are released. And in all of this chaos, they lose Lewis, aka the keymaster. And so suddenly ghosts are just running amok all over New York City.
Like all over. We see
all over.
All kind of craziness. We see silliness with Slimer. That was another moment where he was like in the the hot dog vending thing, and I got so tickled. I was like, I again just can see families going to see this, and at this point the ghosts probably aren't feeling as scary. It's a little bit more funny, and they're just thinking this is a hoot, which I just could really, I don't know, I just could feel it. So, like you said, they're running amok. Well, in the middle of them running amok, the Ghostbusters are taken to jail.
Yes.
And they're trying to like work in jail to try to figure out what's going on. And Ray explains, he's explained to the Ghostbusters and the
To
prisoners.
all the prisoners.
The prisoners that are with them, what's going on with Dana's apartment building. The apartment building is a gateway for something terrible, the end of the world. Next thing you know, the mayor wants to see the Ghostbusters.
Yes.
And Bill Murray. I got a split. The mayor wants to rap with me about some things. Like, he's just like, sorry, fellas. It's really funny. So the mayor brings them in and is like, what are we going to do? Like, we've got to fix this. So he obviously gets them out of jail so that they can try to deal with this problem. And so that's exactly what they do.
So here it comes.
Yeah, we have the big, this is all leading up to this big final confrontation. And about this time, Lewis finds the gatekeeper.
Yeah. The keymaster finds the gatekeeper. Yeah.
And I was not sure what was about to happen here. I was like,
no, it was, I have to say, I kind of like during all this got a little lost in it.
Got a little, I did too.
Yeah.
But I thought as they met, I was like, oh my goodness, are they about
to?
I
know. It was
get
weird.
Past the get past PG, but they didn't.
No.
But they together open up this dimensional gateway on top of the apartment building by a passionate kiss. That's as far as it went. The passionate kiss.
Yeah. That scene at the time was, and I can't remember exactly what I read. It was like the biggest build for a scene outside of a studio that had ever been built out at that point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, after this happens, we cut back to the mayor's office again. He's so distressed.
So stressed out.
And no one can figure out what's going on. And it's so funny. They have all these people in there and they call in, like even a priest comes in.
A priest.
It's hysterical. And the priest like won't make a public statement about it, but like off to the side, he's like, don't put it on the record, but I think it's a sign from God. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. You know how I am in movies, and I don't like sacrilege. And so when I saw that priest come on the scene, I was like, oh, don't do something that's going to be sacrilegious. Don't do something.
Not in this movie.
No,
It was really funny. He was like, don't quote me on it. Which is really funny too, because like in those bigger cities, like, I don't know, it would be like I could see the priest being called in, which is really funny. So the Ghostbusters are warning everybody about this mass hysteria, and they get a police escort to take them to the apartment building, Ground Zero.
Ground Zero.
And everybody is cheering like they are heroes. Like, it's hysterical.
Yeah, you're going to laugh, but in a silly way, it reminded me like of Top Gun.
Oh, yeah.
Did it? You too?
I mean, anything like that. I definitely thought of like any sort of like I was even thinking of like, what's that movie? Independence Day, or like any of those kinds of big where there's like a let's come together
and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody's cheering them on, and this huge hole opens up in the street, and the Ghostmobile kind of falls down into it, but the Ghostbusters pop out, and everybody's like so happy. It's a funny little part. But they climb the stairs of the apartment building, and as they climb, the situation's just getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
I, for some reason, got thriller vibes during this time, like something about this whole, like I was getting like those,
like I could hear Vincent Price's voice almost in my mind.
Yes, exactly. So Gozer appears and challenges the Ghostbusters, demanding they choose the form of the destructor. So this took me a minute to understand. And then I was like, oh, they were supposed to mentally choose. And I heard Bill Murray say it. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. They were supposed to think about, like, they were supposed to choose who their destroyer was going to be because they're going to be destroyed. They got to choose their form.
Right.
So that's why Bill Murray was like, don't think of anything. Wipe your mind blank. Blank slate. Blank slate.
Right.
And then they all look at Ray and he's like, I couldn't help it. I thought of the Puff Marshmallow Man. So that's where the Puff Marshmallow Man came from, which was so funny to me because when I saw the Puff Marshmallow Man attacking the city, I was like, oh, he looks like a balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade.
Absolutely.
Like,
and probably was that year. They probably had one.
Totally.
Well, here's a fun fact I've been dying to say because the Marshmallow Man is probably one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. But the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man costume, it cost around $20,000 to make.
Oh, my.
3 of them built for the filming, but only one survived the production.
Oh, my goodness.
And also, that's not all. Also, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was actually a joke from Dan Aykroyd's original Space Ghosters draft. And so, but it was kept in the film to be like a tongue-in-cheek way to show like a villain, but in a goofy form.
That is really funny. And I think that's one of the landmarks of the movie. Like, I think that ends up being true with like the Marshmallow Man, and also even Slimer ends up being sort of a not really scary ghost.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they had these ghosts that were that were like not so super scary. That's really interesting. So, but I do wonder this, when you said that about the costume, I wonder if the costume was big, or if it was small and they just made it look big. I don't know. That's interesting. Okay.
You've come with all of your special effects knowledge. I thought you might know that.
No, I don't know. But for you to say it was a costume makes me think it wasn't super big and they made it big on the screen. So anyway, that was how the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man came into being, because Ray thought of that. And he was like, I never thought that would be something that could be bad. I was just trying to think of something innocent. Well, he was wreaking havoc over New York City.
Yeah, he was.
Now, there was a part earlier in the movie, and I didn't say this, but there was a part earlier in the movie where they talk about not crossing their laser streams, and because it would be super dangerous.
Right.
And they decided, in order to beat this spirit, they were going to have to cross their proton streams.
Yeah.
To be powerful enough. So they all come together, and their explosion does banish Gozer and closes the gateway and saves Dana and Lewis. At first, I think Dana and Lewis are
goners,
but they are like stuck inside the gargoyles. They're like, help. And so they get them out, and it's so happy. And suddenly, like, Dana and Peter are in love.
I mean, they
didn't even have a date.
Yeah, they are like now an item. And of course, the Ghostbusters are celebrated and they're heroes for saving the city. And we see, in the midst of all of this, the kiss.
The big kiss. It is a big kiss.
And then,
I ain't afraid of no ghosts. And it's so great. They ride off in the ghost mobile.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters. And the funny thing is we see more, like, all the people around cheering, and as they're getting in, you see all these priests line up and they're like blessing the ghost mobile.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then at the very, very end, when we think all is well, we see Slimer fly through at the very end. And I think, sequel maybe?
Sequel, yeah. I really do love it when movies leave you with something like that for
Yeah.
you to kind of take with you when you go. I love that.
I do too. It's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun. I really, yeah, it was really fun. So now let's talk about, does it measure up? And I have two different trains of thought about this. So I'll just share quickly because I know we're
Okay.
getting long. But do the special effects hold up? Absolutely not. We've come light years. But would the special effects we have now exist without this? Absolutely not.
Right. Good thought.
And is it a silly story that is not really my genre? Absolutely. But is it a fun family movie to watch? I still think absolutely. You know, you could
Yeah.
sit with your kids and watch this with some popcorn and snacks and, you know, have a good time and laugh. And, you know, Bill Murray just, you can never get enough of him.
Yeah.
And so in that way, I think it stands up because I still think it can be.
You can
give you
still
a-
have a fun time with your
Oh
family.
yeah, you could
Yeah.
still have, even though it's not my particular genre to watch, I could see this being a really fun movie to enjoy with your family.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's definitely not my cup of tea. It's not my favorite one we've watched. I didn't even understand it all the way. And I know real fans are laughing because sometimes I lose interest a little bit or something goes over my head and I'm like, squirrel, squirrel. But it was good old fashioned fun, I think. But I do have one final fascinating fact to
Oh,
share
tell.
is that Ghostbusters was almost not Ghostbusters. It was almost Ghost Smashers.
Boo.
And it was something about a legal dispute from the 1970s. There was a Ghostbusters TV show. And anyway, they had negotiations and they got to keep the iconic title. One thing I want to say before we move on, I want to know, Amanda, do you believe in ghosts? And do you know anyone who absolutely believes in them?
I don't know if I do or not.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I'm not sure. I don't. The part of me that thinks maybe I could like believe in ghosts, I don't think of it as like a demonic thing.
Yeah.
When I think about ghosts. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I would ask Kelly right now, this moment, if she would say she would, but I know she has stories of some people in her family that have had some very real experiences.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of the same way. Like, I've never experienced anything like that. So I don't necessarily believe it because I haven't lived it. But I have some people that I have met in my life that believe very strongly in ghost-like type things because they said they've experienced them. But it's hard for me to wrap my mind around because I haven't. So I just thought that might be a fun way for us to kind of end is to talk about.
Ooh, real fans, if you have an experience like that, I would love for you to share.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, real fans, that is a wrap on Ghostbusters, a movie that is mixed with the spooky and the silly and gave us a really fun song too and a good little spooky season movie to put in before we start getting a little more scary.
I feel like the real fans could have a drinking game for the number of times you are going to say spooky season.
Well, I just want everyone to know that's what we're in spooky season, and I like spooky season.
Well, I am going to kick us off with our clues for next week. See if you can guess what movie we're rewinding to. Amanda, kick us off with the first one.
Okay, clue number 1. A suburban family discovers their home isn't as peaceful as it seems.
Clue number 2. A closet hides a terrifying secret.
Clue number 3. A child's voice echoes from somewhere that it shouldn't.
I have to say, I cannot wait for this one, sister.
Me too.
Real fans, be sure to subscribe, leave us a 5-star rating, and write a quick review.
And don't forget, if you send us a screenshot of your review to hello@realsistersrewind.com, we'll mail you a Real Sister sticker as a thank you.
Thanks for rewinding with us, real fans. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.